And after the quick break, we're back on the desk. It's still Tickety and myself casting, or like desk hosting, this third and fourth match for you now. So we've got Roadhog Rise again versus Bay State. It's an American duels, collegiate versus a bit of collegiate, as some of Roadhog Rise again players are playing for Maryville in the collegiate scene as well. So definitely an interesting matchup on many different levels. Tickety, give us some info on the Roadhog Rise again roster.
Right, so we haven't been able to see these players play on broadcast just yet, so this will be their first time on the stream, but we've got some big names coming in. We've got Redemption coming in on mid-tank. We've got Kaluge, famous Tier 3 collegiate level player, also known as Cucumber and things like that. We have a couple name changes going around. We've got a bunch of big names coming in here. And of course, on the side of Bay State, we did get to see them play yesterday, but of course, can't forget players like Neb popping off on the Lucio. We saw the 4K on Lijiang come through yesterday. We've got Forgotten on the DPS line as well. Lots of big names to watch out for this series. My biggest question to see is, since we haven't seen Roadhog Rise again play on broadcast yet, I'm curious to see what kind of compositions we're expecting out of them. There's a lot of difference between, especially at the collegiate level right now, these structured teams, these 6-stack teams that aren't just pug teams coming in for the tournament, to see what they've been practicing recently. If they're leaning more heavily into sort of like the rush-based compositions with like 6-man dive or Reinhardt-based compositions like we saw from Bay State yesterday, or if we're going to see something similar to our previous matchup in DICE Gaming, with a lot of the Wrecking Ball reliance and the more individual chaotic compositions with the DPS line like Tracers, Sombras, and Echoes that just take control of a map. I think what we saw from Bay State, they looked like, by far, a really well-coordinated team, but it's possible for them to get outpaced by more, like I said, chaotic, disruption-based compositions in the Wrecking Ball and things like that. It doesn't matter how coordinated you are if you can just never catch up to the Wrecking Ball, never catch up to the Tracer Sombra, never actually be able to actualize your win condition, which was seemingly a bit of a weak point for Bay State. But if they go into a more mirror-type composition, more rush versus rush, more 6-man versus 6-man, maybe we'll end up seeing some of that structure pay off for both these teams. Like you mentioned, we're seeing collegiate talent on both sides here, so again, worth mentioning that this isn't the only tournament some of the collegiate players are playing in this week. There's also a collegiate major going on, so these players are definitely in for long days, long schedules, a lot of stress going into these matchups, making sure that they're able to stay at their top physical performance, mental performance, keep their focus throughout these long days is a big factor in these. Luckily, unlike some of the last games we've watched, there's not going to be the EU-NA ping difference here, so we are going to get to see these teams at peak, at least, performance when it comes to latency, but making sure they're able to find their own unique approach to the current meta and find their own win conditions in this matchup is going to be key.
Absolutely, and I mean, you gotta pay the respect to Bay State here. They've played their 5th match on the last broadcasted match yesterday. So not only have they played the 7 rounds of qualifier in the Questline Open, they've also played the collegiate matches on top of that. And that just shows how much work this team is willing to put into this, how much effort they're willing to pay to their playing times, to the time they bring in on the weekend. There's no weekend when you're collegiate.
Yeah, there's no off time.
So there's no off time. You're going collegiate, you're going full time. And this just shows how much Bay State wants this and how much they deserve to be here now. And they've played 6-1, same as the 2 other top teams in their group, and then it had to come down to the tiebreaker, to the direct comparison in which they were better than the Baby Clan and moved on that 2nd spot, and they're now here playing against Roadhog Rise again in that third matchup of this round 1 winners bracket, as we see the full bracket here again. So after this match, G4's Sucker Punch is going to be an interesting one. Definitely G4's winning their group, Sucker Punch moving on as 2nd, and then loser bracket Aya versus Dysfunctional. We've seen those 2 teams today already. Aya losing to Trust the Process, quite overwhelming performance there from the EU team. And then DICE Gaming, as we just witnessed, them winning over Dysfunctional, although some of us would maybe expect them to kind of give it out of hand at the map on Blizzard World. But yeah, they closed out the win on Anubis, and you gotta love 2CP. And yeah, for this next matchup though, Bay State definitely one of the better collegiate teams here. It's going to be interesting to see how big the advantage of playing together, maybe even in a room and having like supported training times throughout the off season, is going to play out against a team like Roadhog. Again, many good players on there. We talked about Cyrus, we talked about King. There's a lot of talent in this matchup, and especially because they're not playing on a too high latency, because it's barely NA teams. We'll definitely be up for banger hits. Top conditions for this matchup. I'm so much looking forward to seeing those two teams play it out for a spot in the semifinals.
Absolutely. It's worth noting, too, both these teams coming off really hot streaks in our previous games. Yesterday, both these teams only brewing a single loss in matches each. And Bay State notably actually taking a win against Dice Gaming yesterday, one of the stronger looking teams as well. So they're coming in hot. They're looking to close out this win as well. Of course, Roadhog Rides again looking to do the same thing. I really think this matchup is going to be a close one. I do think our first map here, the Koth map, is going to be one of the most important game-changing maps, just because winning that map immediately puts your opponent on the back foot, right? It means that if it comes down to trading maps back and forth, you're going to get the final map pick to get that third win to close out the series. And I do think with both these teams, with the talent that we're seeing on both sides, having that counter pick potential, being able to take control of the pace of the game just by being able to choose what kind of maps we're going on. Do we want to pick something that's more favored for Reinhardt Rush? Do we want to pick something with longer sight lines that might enable more double shield spam and things like that? Is it going to be a bigger factor in this matchup, more so than we've seen in previous ones?
Absolutely, and how great of you that you mentioned that matchup yesterday against Dice Gaming, because although it was only the 5th match in that round robin, it was do or die at that point, because if that would have lost that matchup, they would have gone 5-2, which would not have given them a spot in the playoffs. That would have been meant that the Baby Clan would have moved on into the playoffs. But now here they are, Bay State, against all odds, winning against Dice Gaming, who had an overwhelming performance in that group yesterday. And yeah, absolutely. So we're up for a pump matchup. The teams are getting ready in the lobbies, and yeah, I mean, let's look at this weekend overall. We've witnessed so much great talent on the player side, but also on the casters, on the broadcast, on the production side as well. And especially guys like Jack, who's been on the desk yesterday. We didn't really get a chance to thank him basically for his performance yesterday, since we closed out the stream rather fast, maybe a bit faster than we expected. So yeah, absolutely, same thank you, which we roll out to the players today. Goes
amazing talent this weekend.
All the talent we've got here. That goes for production, that goes to all the guys on the Bat Pachamari League, that goes to T6, it goes to Questline, it goes to everyone here on the desk, everyone who's made this possible in the highest quality which we're witnessing now. The broadcast is amazing, the in-game observing, it all comes down to this and to the next weekend, and the preparation which has been put into this is amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this. But until then, we'll go into a short break once again, since we're having a slight delay on our matchup. And after the break, we're ready to kick us off. Your new casters will be ready for you. And yeah, until then, keep it cool, and let's go into a quick break here.
everyone, and we are back here at the Questline Open. You know us already. It's Newbeat and Ageless. We're getting ready for another match here between Roadhog Rides Again and Bay State. And Ageless, what are you looking for in this one?
I'm really looking forward to this match. I think we saw a little bit of a similar kind of matchup in our previous match with Dice Gaming and Dysfunctional. You kind of have this like well-oiled machine, really synergistic team. Coming into a more recently put together like pub team. I think we're going to see something similar here. If Roadhog Rides Again is able to throw Bay State off of their game and just kind of outpace them like Tikiti was saying earlier, I think they're going to have a real chance to upset this. If Bay State is allowed to just continue to play their game, set the tempo, set the pace of this game, there's a chance they could run away with it, but there is a ton of talent on Roadhog Rides Again. Like we have Kaluge/Cucumber and Cyrus from Maryville and King as well from Solaris. So a lot of star potential here. As I said, similar story to the Dysfunctional versus Dice Gaming. You can see the rosters here absolutely stacked. We saw Bay State yesterday. If Cabe was alive, it was bad. Like for the other team. It was unbelievable, just such a problem.
100%. These teams are chock full of a lot of collegiate talent. Not everybody's collegiate, but there are a lot of good collegiate players. You mentioned Cabe yesterday. Nev looked fantastic at times on the Lucio, getting a 4K boop at one point, which is, if you're a Lucio player, just the holy grail of environmental kills. And taking a look at the maps, speaking of environmental kills, we're going to be starting on Lijiang Tower.
This is going to be really interesting here if the teams are going to want to stick to more of these disruption concepts we see sometimes here, especially I guess depending on the submap, or if we're going to see maybe a move over to Rush, which I think would possibly favor Bay State with just how much they seem to favor yesterday.
100%. Bay State looked good when they did run the rush yesterday, and there's no reason to think that won't continue into day 2 here. And with that going forward, Bay State I think is a little bit of a favorite between these two teams, but the gap between them isn't all that big.
Yeah, I think it really is going to come down to who's going to set the pace and who is going to force the other to play their style of game. We have some really standout individual talent on Roadhog Rides Again. If they're going to, be able to play to their potential and cause those problems, I think if they can keep Bay State on the back foot, that's going to be what they need. As Tikiti said again, and Julian said, if they're able to walk with Lijiang Tower here, it's really going to set them up for success.
100%. And speaking of Julian and Tikiti before the break, they mentioned how long of a day it was for these collegiate players, especially some of the members of Bay State. And shout out to Julian. I know it was a long day for Julian as well, so it's good to see that he's back in the saddle, as it looks like Night Market will be the first submap we will get a look at.
Yeah, I think Julian took both hours off between the stream ending and starting, and now he's back. So happy to see him back. And also a big shout out to Jag, who we had on the desk with us earlier. It was such a treat to have him in. Just great presence on the desk. So nice, so smart. Made everyone look really good. Although we got our initial prediction wrong.
We did get our initial prediction wrong. I'm actually 0 for 2 so far, so I can't remember my prediction for this game here, but I know the last game we have, or the next match we have, match 4, I'm looking for Sucker Punch to get an upset on that one. So we'll see how it goes as both these teams come out of the spawn. You can see TR33 going for a couple shots with the rockets over the top.
Yeah, looking for more of this disruption comp. You can see Dree up in the sky here with Neptune on the Mercy. So some pretty high sustain here with the Ana, although not if Faded deletes them.
So a bit of a trade coming there. One support player out of the mix for each team right now. Good plays by the DPS to narrow them down. Cucumber back in, goes down. And with that, Cyrus is going to push over. They get rid of Neptune with a nice resurrection onto Cucumber. So the D.Va is now back into the fight, even though Faded and Depresso are pushing forward.
Faded is just everywhere right now, playing hardcore frag Winston, it seems like, finishing off a lot of these kills here. You can see, still playing this disruption comp from Roadhog Rides again, which is not unexpected. The 6-man coming out from Bay State with Cave on that Reaper. They're really going to be looking to enable Cave, which is exactly, I think, it's a great place to be. If you're trying to enable someone and that person is Cave, you're in good shape.
Cucumber going in on the D.Va, getting close to the point. They do have a self-destruct online right now as Depresso flying up into the sky with Abs throwing down a Coalescence, trying to keep the members of Road Rise again off the point. What a stick coming out there from Cyrus. That is going to blow up the ulting Moira and allow Tree to push in with the focusing beam and dust off Faded. A great fight coming out here from Roadhog Rides again, using their ultimates perfectly to get in on the point, and they are going to flip this over.
Pressure just not quite able to get to that D.Va bomb, trying to buy some time. Still plenty available for them here. So Faded, they're going for the full contest here.
Admirable stall coming out right now from Bay State. Faded back in onto the point with that Primal Rage. Has to contend with the mines coming out from Redemption, but is able to get away and stay alive. You can see Bay State is still in possession of the point with that cap percentage ticking upwards. This is a wonderful stall coming out, getting more of the cap percentage coming in. Tree coming back with another focusing beam. Focusing beams all around right now. Both Echoes burning everyone down. Tree comes back in with us. Death Blossom and gets 2. And now with Redemption with the roll through onto Infernal, finally Roadhog Riot again flips the point.
They needed that too, so both teams have exhausted almost all their ultimates. Abs now up to 90% of the Coalescence, but that's about it. So Cyrus on the other side with the Pulse Bomb, so just one ultimate apiece for these teams. Roadhog Rides again needed to come out with that win.
And luckily they did. It did take them a little bit longer than they would have originally planned. Now you can see setting up on the side is Faded with that Winston. Cyrus coming in from the back, hoping to be undetected with a Pulse Bomb, but detected they are. Infernal with the eat onto the Tracer ultimate. That's going to mitigate a lot of damage coming in. Cave gets 1 kill with the Reaper. Cucumber's able to trade that back by getting rid of Faded. Trying to stay near the back of the point here, put some pressure in, split the attention from Bay State right now as they have set up once again on the objective with another fight upcoming.
This 6-man is working so well for them. You can see just a lot of point presence here. Once they're on the point, they're just so brawly.
And now we are into overtime. Roadhog Rides again is going to have to keep contesting, and a nice start with Redemption throwing in the minefield, and Pink in the backline hits a nice headshot onto Cave. Now Roadhog Rides again surging forward, able to get another 2 eliminations. They flip the point over and they're still alive here on Lijiang.
This kind of disruption comp it doesn't have a ton of point presence here. Seeing ultimates being deployed just to kind of retake the point, and it completely makes sense. They like playing in the neutral, and the ults are not necessarily playing around ultimates as much as you are with this 6-man. So that said though, Bay State coming up 3, 4, 5 ultimates coming into this, so this is going to be a colorful fight.
Starting off right now, Neptune is going to pop the rally to start proceedings on this fight. Tree wins the Echo battle, gets rid of Depresso, and now we see a self-destruct coming over the top from Cucumber that's only going to zone people out, not take any lives. And Tree doing a great job staying alive on this Echo, dealing in extra damage, some more sticky bombs onto the D.Va. And with that, Bay State is going to be on the front foot, trying to get back in onto the point. But so far, they haven't been able to make any meaningful progress, and here it comes.
Almost getting the flip here. It's a big kill onto Neptune. So a lot of staying power no longer available, and oh, it's all coming out now.
And with that, we can see the minefield on the point not really doing much. Overtime burning away quicker and quicker the longer that Wick stays active. And with that, Bay State getting so close to the end. Neb gets a boop onto Cyrus. That's going to be the Tracer gone. That pesky Tracer will not be able to keep contesting right now. Cave just staying on the point, throwing in damage with those Hellfire shotguns, and Infernal's able to find 2, 1 with the remake and 1 with the bomb itself. That is a huge play coming out from Infernal on the D.Va, and with that we have finally got a winner in our first sub-map of the day, and it's going to go to Bay State.
Looking great here. You can see playing to all their win conditions here. They're so much more brawly and have so much more point presence. They're able to just get on there and hold it. They're forcing Roadhog rides again to be using large pieces of their resource pool. You know, putting ultimates in, putting big cooldowns in, just to be able to get some sort of a point presence going and get some cap percentage up. So we did see that there was, you know, obviously very close in the percentage there towards the end. So I hope this continues. This has been a really good match.
Yeah, it's only been one sub map so far, but it was very close, 100 to 99, as close as you can be, and it's up to Roadhog rides again to make those adaptations and see if they can get back ahead.
The Depresso on the Sombra here. We saw them, they started off a little slow on the Sombra yesterday, but by the end of the day, they had really found their stride.
Going for it, getting rid of Redemption on that Wrecking Ball. That ball was also hacked up, so not a lot the main tank could do there. Pink's able to trade that back and get rid of Infernal. So once again, this fight starting very early on, basically at a 5v5 with one member going down on each team. Point is now unlocking, and Roadhog Rise again is going to be able to get the first cap, but with the players going down, we'll see how long they can hold it.
Yeah, definitely Bay State opting to take the fight off the point here, probably anticipating they could just kind of walk back onto it, as I said before, they have so much more point presence, but now they're just being picked apart.
A lot of damage coming through from the DPS line of Cyrus and Tree, and they're going to finish off two as Abs goes down, and that's going to be a lot of work coming out for Roadhog Rides again. They're going to get a bunch of kills, and with that, they're going to hold on to the point and really start making their mark here on Gardens.
So almost got a little sneaky back half there. They are going to have that EMP available. Probably going to be, definitely going to be looking to pick up Pink and Cucumber in this. So if they're able to connect with this, it could be huge. Pink can undo all of this.
Gonna have to keep our eyes on the Zenyatta in this upcoming fight. That Transcendence can be so important. And Roadhog Rides again is going to engage once again with the rally coming out from Neptune, using that Brig ult to keep their team armored up. You can see Tree has a duplicate online if they want to use it. Cyrus playing a bit of an off angle with the Tracer, just trying to put some added pressure, and goes in for the stick, and once again Infernal with the E. What a play coming out with the D-Matrix self-destruct over the top, finds nothing, but that's going to allow Abs to push forward and get rid of Cucumber, and now Bay State is on the point, and they are looking good. Cave dealing out a lot of damage on this Reaper, and it looks like it's only going to be a matter of time before Bay State is going to start and get this flip through.
Up to 80% now for Roadhog Rides again. They're playing so smart. They're not letting Bay State set up on the point like they were in the last map. Everything is being forced to, they're punishing their rotations, not allowing them to take the space that they really want, and really forcing Faded and Infernal to really commit to all these engagements.
We'll see how quickly they want to commit this time. They're almost able to take down Pink early, but it's not going to matter. That's Zenyatta stays in the fight, and the rest of Roadhog Rides again, once again coming in as a group and just wiping the floor with Bay State right now. That is going to be a tough pill to swallow for Bay State, losing that fight. Roadhog Rides again up to 83% cap percentage and counting. Bay State's got to win this next fight.
Yeah, this is going to be really key. They do have some big pieces here. They like Death Blossom, full tank ultimates available for them here.
And Faded coming in early with the engage with the Winston. They're going to pop that Primal Rage and see if they can sow Discord in the backline with a lot of extra displacement. Depresso's able to get a headshot onto Cyrus. Advantage out Bay State. They're up 1 now. 2. Faded's able to knock Neptune over the edge. Cucumber comes back and trades that out. Tries to punish Faded, but it's not enough. Neb with another signature environmental kill, and that's going to do it. Bay State is going to stay alive in this fight. Some great plays coming out. A great engagement by Faded at the beginning of that fight.
Holding on to the Death Blossom here as well. So no Sombra, run the Echo here, so there's no real ability to deal with Cucumber's defensive matrix here as far as like a manual hack goes. So it's just gonna have to be really smart with the positioning here. Not as much potential, I'd say, for a really clean Death Blossom, especially if you're in the ground.
What a great shot by Pink. That is going to open the door for Roadhog Rides again to get right back in on the point. They've already made the flip and procced overtime for the second time. Tree comes up with a duplicate. They're able to throw off a bomb, but not get much. And with that, Roadhog Rides again are getting all the eliminations required to take this next point at 99%. Great play by Cyrus.
This is great. Best case scenario here for Roadhog Rides again. They're playing so smart. Not allowing these kind of like big fights on the point. They're punishing all of the rotations, catching them while they're trying to make their way to the point and making it costly to take any ground.
With that, we are off to round 3. We are off to Control Center. And this is where we can see the niche picks come out. You can see Tree already looking at the Junkrat. Not a lot of other places in Overwatch at this time where you're going to see the Junk. So that could be a fun one to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, Control Center, you'll see, some junk, some sim, and it's not just the Symmetra like teleport out of spawn or, teleport directly to the point, things like that. You'll sometimes see them stick with it. We'll see if that is the choice here. Looks like both teams opting for it.
A lot of damage is about to come out in this room. Both teams with the Reinhardts trying to get forward and already Faded getting a little bit isolated, but they're able to get back to their team before they're burned down. Can't really say the same for Cucumber. Yes, Knight's Immortality Field coming out there from Pink, able to keep their tanks alive as Cucumber got so very low at the start of the play. And now Cyrus is charged up and pushing forward. They're going to get the final blow onto Neb. And Roadhog Rides again is also going to push forward, get these kills. They are going to get the first cap.
The amount of spam damage coming out between Cyrus and Tree is just devastating. Trying to take any of this space here. Faded. Oh boy, taking space here. There's a window here.
There's a lot of ultimates coming out quickly. Abs threw down the window, and Cyrus tried to mitigate that by throwing out the stim wall as well. Roadhog Rides again just staying on the point. Shatter comes out from Faded. That doesn't find anything but Faded going to the ground. Cucumber was able to finish them off through the amplification matrix, and with that, Baystate is going to have to back up here. They've just lost too many members.
We talked a little bit earlier about how Baystate was definitely thriving, running the rush here, and I think that's probably why we saw as heading into Lijiang Tower, it doesn't seem to be working out quite the way they wanted to.
This time, Baystate coming in, spending ultimates, and that is going to be met by a Sound Barrier from Neptune. That's going to allow Cucumber to go for it, hit 2 with the bomb, and Roadhog Rides again is sitting pretty on the point. There's nothing right now that Baystate can do to answer what Roadhog Rides again is putting out.
No ultimates to speak of for this fight. We'll probably see Infernal and Neb build their Zap. Cave seems to be building them pretty quick. Depresso is actually swapped over to the Doomfist here. We did talk about this earlier. It didn't really work out. Teams trying to run Doomfist on Control Center. So we'll see if Depresso can flip that narrative.
Starting off this fight is the Shatter coming out from Redemption, but the rest of Baystate can kite that and just back up a little bit here. They're not going to have to take extra damage. Tree gets an early pick on the Cape. Once again, Roadhog Rides again gets the first kill in the fight. Infernal throws a bomb over the top to get Cyrus as a team comes out from Neb to get Baystate onto the point as they want to fight this on the objective. Not a lot of time left in this round if they don't take this fight. Depresso in the backline throws down a rocket punch through the window, but they're going to get punished by Pink on that Baptiste. That is a very important kill, getting that DPS out of the fight. Cave has a death loss online with very little HP. It's not going to matter. They're going to heal themselves up by getting rid of Pink. And with the help of Ned, they are going to delete Redemption as well. And just in the nick of time, Baystate is going to flip this point and stay in the game.
They need to play perfectly, though. 99% for Roadhog Rides again. Trees moved over to the Doomfist as well. Cyrus on the Cassidy, so going for a little bit more of that CC.
Depresso trying to find an early limb, goes in and gets punished immediately. They weren't able to get back out, and Redemption's Rocket Hammer finished it off. Made it up in the air for the Shatter coming down. Is going to get stunned out of the charge. It's not really going to work out in the end. That was almost a highlight reel. Shatter coming out from Fader. Now Cucumber coming back in with another remake kill onto Neb. Roadhog Rides again, trying to get back in onto the point. You can see they flipped it over, and now the overtime is burning away. A big Shatter coming up from Redemption, finishes off Cave. That Reaper is going to have to go back to spawn now. Overtime burns away. That's going to do it. Roadhog Rides again is going to take the first map of the day, and now they're up 1-0.
This is what we had seen at Tickety and what we talked about as well, is just we're seeing the tempo just get ratcheted up here by Roadhog Rides again. And Baystate just kind of struggling to keep up with it here. They're playing so well, we are seeing the well-oiled machine coming out. it's just the amount of disruption that's coming in and not really allowing them to play their game that has really caused some problems.
It really has. There's a lot of disruption out there, and we could see that it just really worked for Roadhog Reds again. They've come in with a little bit of a strategy, even though it is a bit more individualistic, and it's really paid off for them so far.
Yeah, we were expecting both Cyrus and King to come out and, make an impact here. They're, obviously well-known players. They're absolutely doing it. Although, Cucumber as well and Redemption, like it's been just so good. All the pieces are working together, just picking apart Bay State, not really allowing them to play as cohesively as they would like to and as they're known for.
And with that, what does Bay State have to do differently going forward here to get back to that?
I think they either need to absolutely embrace the chaos, or they're just going to have to play like even tighter. They are going to get their map pick, so they might be able to force something that is maybe a little bit more cohesive to what they would like to do. I think moving, they're not doing even well on the rush mirror. So maybe trying to force something that's not going to allow Roadhog to really have this pick them apart style that they are using with this Balls End comp.
And right now, like we saw Depresso on the Sombra in that last map, and you mentioned it during the last round, is that they kind of gained steam over the course of the day and got better at that Sombra. But what I thought yesterday was Depresso looked really good on the Ashe, so I'm thinking maybe they go back to that.
Yeah, I think definitely some changes here, and you're right. We did see them warm up throughout the day, and they have had it's been a lot of Overwatch this weekend for Bay State. We've talked about it quite a few times on the desk, on the cast. This is a lot of games. We're probably going to see them once again warm up throughout the day, throughout this match, and you will see their kind of game come online. If they're able to stick to their game and really force Roadhog to play their game and force them into positions where they have to play much more cohesively and they can't run this full chaos that kind of picks them apart as they go, I still think they have a really good chance to turn this around. But they are now down this one map. So if we are going to be trading maps, it is going to be going for the side of Roadhog Rides again.
Yes, and Roadhog Rise again absolutely earned that first win. I think the tank line looked fantastic. Redemption and Cucumber, also known as Kalush, were looking absolutely great in that first round. And that is going to be a tough nut to crack if you're Bay State having to get past that tank line.
Yeah, I also think that there's a lot of pressure going on to Cabe especially. I think teams have definitely identified what a threat they are. And we saw, just a lot of pressure constantly on them, not giving them the space, because as soon as they are given that space, it gets really rough.
Especially with the DPS being able to use that space and utilize it, it's going to be really tough. And a shout out to Pink as well. Looked great on the Zenyatta in that last round.
Absolutely. I think it really is just going to come down to one of the teams being able to just out-tempo the other, outpace the other, and kind of exert the style that they would like to play. We saw it in the last map. We saw it in this map. Some of these pub teams, they can come in, and the meta does favor right now. It allows teams to play these more disruptive, chaotic compositions and really succeed. It's not it's not as reliant on having that synergy, on having that cohesiveness. It doesn't give you as much of an advantage as you might see in previous metas, playing together for 6 months, playing together for a year. It's not as advantageous now when you're playing these comps that are just so much more focused on individual play, on just kind of picking apart and, as we said yesterday, just like testing the fence. And seeing where those weak spots are, waiting for those mistakes, trying to force out some sort of an overcommitment.
And with that in mind, Ageless, what would you like to see them try and pull out for the next map if you're Bay State? They're going to have that map pick. What do you think they're going to go with for the next map pick?
I think they're going to go with Havana.
Yeah, that was good timing. That was pretty good timing. I got to give it to you. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna take credit for that. I set you up for success with that. So yes, it looks like we are headed to Havana for the next map. So Ageless, what do you think Bay State is going to run here on Havana to get back and tie this at 1-1?
I think they're going to come out here with some double shield and really try and force the point to maybe just slow the game down a little bit. They've been, really struggling dealing with the chaos comp. They might be able to slow things down with a double shield composition.
Yeah, the double shield sounds like it's going to be a good move coming up if that is the route that they want to go. So we can see Bay State is going to be up first on the attack. And something I always find interesting about Havana is where the defending team decides to set up for that first hold. Every once in a while we'll see the very close hold almost at the spawn doors. Most times we will see them back up a little bit, play the first corner. And with Roadhog Rides again going out with the Reinhardt Sigma combo, you gotta think that they're going to get a little bit forward.
Yeah, I think they're going to go for a close hold here, especially with Tree on the May. Will they get spotted out? You can definitely see some scouting going on here by Bay State. Yeah, who are still looking at this, looking like a rush mirror here. So not really surprising seeing them want to run and try and force a little bit more of a cohesive comp.
I don't know about you, Aegis, but I always like seeing the rush come together on both sides. Those Reinhardts going toe-to-toe, swinging away. Both Maywells coming out, a bit of an ice cream sandwich coming out in the middle. And that Immortality field coming out from Abs almost immediately is not able to keep Faded alive and in the fight. Cucumber's able to find two, doing so much work with that Sigma right now, and that is the perfect start if you're Roadhog Rides again.
Yeah, this is best case scenario. They're going to be able to eat some time off the clock here. It's basically just a free fight. For every one that you win here, there's still no part progress being made.
It's the name of the game when you're on defense, is stalling out the attackers as long as you can. And with that, Redemption's going to get stunned up, and now they're pinned. That's the main thing out of the fight for the defense. Abs throws down the Immortality field. And this time it is keeping their team alive. Forgotten pushing forward on the Cassidy, gets rid of Neptune, and all of a sudden it's been flipped on his head. Advantage Bay State, they're going to push this forward.
Yeah, just cleaning up the kills here. Bay State does manage to hold on, so they are going to have the Deadeye here. They're going to have the window coming out from Abs for this next fight. This ended up being a pretty good scenario for them. They didn't need to invest a ton of ultimates. Sometimes you'll see, like, you need to swap to the Pharah. You'll see, like, a Blizzard come out just to clean things up around the spawn. So a pretty good scenario here going for them. Tree does have the Blizzard coming into this fight. We're going to start off with a Gravitic Flux.
Flux for the initiation, slams that punch down, then Cucumber throws out the accretion right after. Unfortunately, all that is really going to take care of is an Immortality field. Not going to get any mortal lives out of that fight. Now we're seeing the Ant Matrix come out for Pink. Nice Maywall is answered by Cave to make sure that that's not doing too much damage. Cyrus went up top with the Deadeye, isn't going to find anything. Flashes Cave, and Cave is going to finish him off. Cyrus out of the fight. Once again, Roadhog Rides again, losing those members, and with that, this is going to be Bay State pushing forward.
You can see why they wanted to play this style, and it seemed to be faring quite a bit better on the payload map versus the kind of deathmatchy that we'll see from the King of the Hill maps. They're able to play their game now. They're playing their rush. Cave is doing really nicely on the May, which is unsurprising here. Tree's now onto the Doomfist.
Alright, trying to come in again and get another contest happening, and it's working! Although there was one remake kill in there, Cucumber and Redemption are on the front foot. The tanks pushing forward, and they are going to be the rocks the waves break on right now, and that is going to be a stabilization for Roadhog Rides again, and they're going to be able to catch their breath and burn even more time off that clock.
A little bit worse for wear in the ultimate economy here. Bay State, plenty of tools coming in here. They are going to have the Ant Matrix, Shatter, Deadeye, Cave already coming up to another Blizzard here, so 67% already.
Once again, Roadhog Rides again is going to engage with the Gravitic Flux, and that is going to force a lot of utility out from Bay State if they want to withstand all the damage coming in. Cyrus is able to get rid of Abs. That could be devastating. Huge Shatter comes out from Faded. They're able to get multiple. What a play from Faded. Drops down the Shatter, and that's going to do it for the first point. The Reinhardt is strong, and right now they are in charge.
Yeah, it's very much Reinhardt rides again here with that shatter. Unbelievable. And again, Caves hold on to this Blizzard. This is a big piece that they can use to just keep snowballing the distillery portion of the map.
That's a great shatter. It looked tough for Bay State. Cyrus was able to get the pick early with the Widowmaker, but at the end of the day, when you drop a shatter like that, you're not going to stand a very good chance. Good kill coming up from Tree, though, and Forgotten.
Forgotten, I looked like was Forgotten there. Quite low health for quite a while.
That game maybe trying to sneak in, find spot for this Blizzard to come off. Is going to hold on to it just a bit longer. Bay State's going to push through the door, get the card moving into this distillery. But right now, it is good for RRA. They have the high ground, and that is really going to help them out.
Yeah, just able to pour some damage in here. The meteor strike comes in.
And that's going to get rid of Cabe. That is so important, getting that Mei out of the fight. And now you can see Roadhog once again pushing forward. They know that they have this fight in the bag, getting a bunch of kills at the end, and that is going to do it. Oh no, that's going to be Forgotten going out late. And now only a minute 50 left on the clock, so even though they gave up the first point, the defense is still holding pretty strong.
Faded really getting the main tank experience there. Gets the rocket punch, the accretion, everything heading their way. Now Cabe is held on to this Blizzard. Just hasn't found a good time to use it, it seems like. They have built up quite a bit here. The nice wraparound. I like this rotation. Going to try and take away the high ground a little bit faster.
Getting up on top. Forgotten has a Deadeye in their back pocket, not using it quite yet. You can see here the Blizzard coming out. That could be big from Cabe. Aiden is able to get Tree with the charge, but Redemption gets 2 with the Fire Strike. Redemption making a play there. It's going to help out Roadhog Rides again. They're going to be able to clean up these kills. Even though that Ad Major just came out from Abs, it's not going to matter. Bay State is once again crumbling under the damage coming out from the tank line of all places from Roadhog Rides again.
Including 0 Roadhogs. Included in all of this so far. Redemption and Cucumber doing a really nice job keeping that pressure up. Cyrus with the Dragon Strike, and Pink with the Amplification Matrix is going to be coming into this. Cave has moved back over to the Reaper. Maybe hoping to just keep that pressure up on the shield.
Starting off here, Pink's going to throw down that Ant Matrix early and make Bay State weary of moving in onto all that extra damage coming out of that ultimate Faded. Just trying to play it safe around the corner before he can engage. Cyrus is already able to get a pick onto Gabe, and that is going to be Bay State down to Memphis once again. Now they've lost Faded. This fight was over almost as soon as it begun. Cyrus into the back line, able to finish off Infernal with a melee, and that is almost going to do it here. 1 second remaining. The time is burning away. Overtime has started, and Cabe just out all by themselves. Shatter coming in. That one's going to hurt, that Shatter at the end.
Just absolutely stymied coming into the second point. Wow, what a flip, what a twist.
What a twist indeed, Ageless. So with that, Bay State not really getting too far on their attack. Roadhog Rides again, setting them up for another great win condition. They don't have to get too far, and that will give them a stranglehold on this series, as it is a 1-3.
Yeah, Bay State needs to find some momentum here. You could see just glimpses of when they are able to put all the pieces together, when they're able to play the game that they want. They look great. With the amount of disruption that is being, they're being just pulled apart at the seams, it seems. Like by Roadhog Rides again here. Oh boy, is this? They can't be serious.
We might be seeing a Bastion here coming up in this next round. We'll have to wait and see if that is in fact what Cyrus wants to go with. I'm not entirely convinced that that will be the case, but this could be our first Bastion sighting of the day.
Bay-State sticking to the rush, so not super surprising here, hoping to shut down some of this tank aggression and probably a close hold. No, they're opting to sit back here, so not the normal close hold that we'd see when we usually see that Mei roll out.
It looks like Bay State is going to get a little bit closer, just using that payload for cover right now. You can see Cyrus has switched over to the Mei, so we are not seeing a Bastion, at least not right now. Mei wall coming up from Cave to keep Roadhog Rides again at bay for the time being as they move over onto the cart. push forward a bit, but they gotta start getting some kills if they want to keep this payload moving. Forgotten getting a nice angle here. They're able to take down Cyrus. Flash comes out, gets multiple members of Roadhog rides again, but doesn't take any of them down right now. Tree trying to get into the back line with the Hanzo already very close to a Dragon Strike.
Yeah, a really nice flip had come through. Bay State kind of turns the tables there, and with a really nice rotation, putting themselves on the defensive side of the map there, and that's when they are able to exploit some of those weaknesses, and that's when you see the real strength of the synergy of this team.
Doing a great job on the Hanzo right now, a couple eliminations, and that allows Redemption to swing freely. They get rid of Faded, their Reinhardt counterpart, and with that, Roadhog Rides Again is back on the road.
Bay State's going to have all sorts of ultimates here, almost all 6. Redemption looking like some sort of a top road play potentially.
This is looking like an ultimate party waiting to happen here in the next fight, and Cucumber is going to oblige right away, getting multiple members of Bay State up.
Abs getting a nice final blow there onto Redemption. Seem to be getting some nice stabilization here. Yeah, this is nice clear.
Good job by Bay State. They're finally getting back into the fight. A lot of ultimate spend there on both sides. I mean, Infernal is back. They do have a bomb online. Redemption on the other side with a shatter. So a couple ultimates still available coming up here. But Bay State is going to hold this corner as we see teams so often do and get ready for this next attack coming in from Redemption and the rest of Roadhog Rides Again.
Cyrus might be able to kind of clear the road a little bit with this Blizzard, and there it is. It gets eaten.
What an eat coming out from Infernal. Cyrus's ultimate goes down the drain. Over to the back. That's going to be 30. What a play by Infernal, blowing everybody up. Unbelievably done by the Diva, and that is going to be unequivocally Bay State's fight on the back of a huge ultimate from Infernal.
This is just all Infernal. Like, eat the Blizzard, get a 3K with the bomb, shut that down. That's a big piece out of the fight as well. This has completely changed how Roadhog Rides Again was hoping that this was going to play out. They're going to have the Gravitic Flux. They're going to have the Amplification Matrix here. Cyrus has moved over to the Widow, hoping to catch someone unawares.
State does have one ultimate, and that's going to be Abs. Amplification Matrix puts it down, has to use an Immortality Field. So many members of Bay State so incredibly low on HP, and McCann throws down the sound barrier, and that is going to allow everyone to get in and get rid of Cucumber. And Matrix coming out on the other side now from Pink, but not a lot doing there, especially with the Shatter of Faded zoning out the rest of that ultimate, and another fight win here for Bay State. So not only are they still on the defense on the first point, but they only need to hold for another 30 seconds to tie this match up.
Basically one more fight here. 20 seconds left on the clock. Cape still has the Blizzard. This is going to be down to Cucumber. They must know that Cape has this Blizzard ready to go. You can see already that Matrix is out looking for him.
Cyrus once again coming out with the Widowmaker and getting an early pick, this time beheading McCann on that Lucio. So no speed in the fight now for Bay State. Ada trying to push forward. They're able to get the swing in and finish off Redemption. And Roadhog Rides Again is trying their darndest to fight this fight. Cucumber able to finish off 2 more. Cyrus doing so much extra damage on the Widowmaker, seeing if they can finish off Abs right now, getting Abs low, but not finding that decisive shot to take down the bat, but they are going to get McCann again. Cyrus is on fire.
Redemption coming up here with a shatter. They have all the pieces. They're cleaning everything up. I think this is going to be the first point, and they're going to be coming into the second point here. They don't have very far to go once they get on the other side. And now we're flipped on the other tree. Coming up to that Blizzard. Redemption with the shatter. Cucumber with another bomb. They have all the pieces here. They need to wrap this up.
And Forgotten got killed late on in the fight, so they're going to get a long spawn on the defense. It's going to take even longer for that Cassidy to get back into the mix. The payload already getting so tantalizingly close to that golden box of victory. You can see it inching forward. Roadhog Rides Again trying to push up. create some of that extra space and get the payload in. So close to the end here. Somebody now has to touch from Bay State. Blizzard in onto the point. So it is going to be a frosty reception for the defenders as they have to deal with that ultimate. Redemption's able to get a charge kill in onto Abs. But McCann comes back and the Lucio gets 2. Can Bay State really hold this up? Fada gets a kill on the tree. And Bay State might just hold on here on this. And with this fight, they are still breathing.
McCann, massive plays towards the end there. Forgotten has made their way back. They've sauntered their way back to the payload. So close there. And a lot of these pieces are gone now for Roadhog Rides again. They used a lot of big ultimates there. Cucumber still with the bomb, but that's about it.
Still a very precarious position for Bay State. That payload is not going to go far away for the golden box of victory. It's not going back through the door. Forgotten goes into the backline, gets one with the flash and fan. And Bay State making another decisive fight happen. Forgotten looking great on the Cassidy. And now the clock is once again down to a minute as Cyrus falls. And with that, this has been an absolute nail-biter of a round, even though the payload never really got that far.
Yeah, this is like strikingly close, considering we're only going into the second point here. Cave back with that Blizzard here. Oh, they could shut this down.
Is going to use that amplification matrix early on in the fight, try to use that proactively to get rid of some of these members of Roadhog Rides. Again, bomb comes out, does not get anything. And with that, the Blizzard is onto the point. Cave down to half health, isn't able to finish anybody off with that ultimate as the Divas come together on the payload. Vader trying to push forward. They do have the Earth Shatter online. Does drop it underneath the payload. And at the same time, Blizzard gets eaten. Bay State pushing back in on this fight, doing everything they can to win this, but Neptune is able to finally finish off Faden. And now there's only 5 seconds remaining on the clock, and Roadhog Rides again is going to ride this payload through and get another victory. They're going to take a 2-0 lead in this series. What a round!
Oh, Infernal had done so much work again towards the end of their eating another Blizzard. I think I caught it right at the end. Unbelievable play. We're going to see Faded. This could be a variety of plays that came out from Faded here. Yeah, it's not even. It's one of these incredible shatters that came out here from Bay State.
Just I know, and I'm hopefully not peeking too far behind the curtain for everyone at home, but I know you are the one that puts together some of these highlight videos, and I've got to think that Shatter's going to be in there.
Oh, I think when we're making the highlight videos, we're actually required to have a Shatter from Havana. So yesterday we had gigs, so we usually just inform the Reinhardt players to just absolutely wipe the floor with the team with a huge Shatter at some point on Havana because we like how the background looks. So a gig did it for us yesterday. This time it was going to be Faded.
Yeah, you got when you're looking at a Shatter, you really got to worry about the lighting. So that's a very conscious decision on your part. I really like that. But man, I kind of mentioned at the end that both teams didn't really have a good attack, so to speak. They only really got barely past the first point. But at the end of the day, it was so exciting because they really both had the same result. It was so close.
Yeah, for an attack that got stopped so early, you don't usually see it get that close. So yeah, absolutely right. Both teams having a really successful defense. And one of them definitely more of an uphill battle than the other.
100%. And with that, now we can see Roadhog Rides again is up 2-0. And that is going to mean the next map is going to be game point for Roadhog Rides again. If they take one more, they're going to move on in the bracket and send Bay State lower to the lower bracket.
Yeah, this is going to be a big time do or die for Bay State. They've been in this position before, even yesterday. In this same tournament, they had come in. They needed to win the rest of their games to make it into the into the elimination bracket. They're back, and you know what? It seems like they play pretty well under pressure.
And that's exactly where they're going to be as we continue this match. There's no other way to put it. Their backs are against the wall. There's nowhere left for them to go in this particular match. And Bay State really has to pull out some sort of surprise or some sort of different play if they want to unlock the door and get a map of their own.
Yeah, and that was their map pick. So they're going to have to force some sort of a different look. And, they did lean into that cohesion, into that synergy there. at this point, do you just embrace the chaos and play and just try and beat RRA at their own game?
Yes, and so we are headed to a hybrid map next. And keeping that in mind, we have seen a lot of Blizzard World today. That could be picked once again for Bay State.
It wouldn't really surprise me to see us heading back to Blizzard World. In the meantime, while they are choosing those maps, we're going to go to a quick break, though.
Hello everyone, we're back. Newbeat here with Ageless for the Questline Open as we get ready for the third map between Roadhog Rides Again and Bay State. And so far, Roadhog Rides Again on top, won both maps, and it's up to Bay State to finally start turning this around, going for the reverse sweep. And it looks like the next map we will be heading to is Kings Row.
Not really surprising. We've seen that Bay State seems to thrive in the rush. They've been, struggling a little bit so far today, but it's not a huge surprise seeing us to be heading to Kings Row. This is kind of like the home field of rush, as it were.
Yeah, and they're going to hope for home field advantage, or at least some kind of advantage, so they can get a W on the board right now. 2-0 is not a good thing to look at if you're Bay State and you got the 0 beside your name. So with that, with us going to Kings Row, I'm expecting another hotly contested map. Honestly, both these teams have been pretty close so far.
Yeah, it's really just kind of come down to ultimate usage and, you know, getting these initial picks and things like that. One thing that I noticed on Havana was that Bay State was starting to use some really creative rotations, and that forced RRA really out of their comfort zone. You can see that synergy starting to shine through for Bay State. Specifically when they started that close point hold, and they were kind of like hiding behind the payload to start things off. Not quite up against the spawn doors, but just a little bit further out. As soon as they rotated and kind of flipped the attack defense sides, RRA looked completely lost. And they were able to capitalize on that and kind of just take them apart on the rotation. I'd like to see them continue to do that. And you do see that coming out as teams, you know, start getting like more back against the wall. You'll see the great bamboozle kind of stuff, speaking of Kings Row. You know, some Hail Mary plays or some more like creative plays that play to their strengths. And I think those rotations, that shot calling, that synergy as a group of 6 is really where that shines. I want to see more of that coming out from them. I want to see them really playing to their strengths, not like, oh, okay, we're really good at this composition, we're really good at this play style. Really push the envelope, pick something that is just you know, almost completely out of reach for a team that hasn't played together as long as they have.
And you talk about playing to strengths, and speaking of strengths, Redemption and Cucumber on the tank line for Roadhog Rise again have looked absolutely stellar so far. They have been the linchpins of Roadhog Rides again. Everybody is following them into battle, and as we get ready for Kings Row, you know, running into that rush, the tank lines are going to be pivotal in this next map.
And I feel like as soon as we talk about our tank lines, especially when we're talking about the rush composition, Pink and Neptune doing a fantastic job keeping their team alive, really enabling a lot of that aggression and a lot of that just kind of like chaos. It's difficult to follow all of that. And oh boy, Roadhog Rides again, looking to be taking, sticking with the Reinhardt Sigma. Cucumber has looked so nice on that Sigma today.
Yes, a very nice Sigma so far. And on the defense, Cabe has looked good on the Mei. We know Cabe can hit headshots with a character. Cabe does it all the time. And it's really going to be an interesting watch to see what Bay State can do to really stem the tide of RRA's attacks.
Yeah, I like the Mei pick. I think they're going to be able to control the tempo of these fights a little bit better, kind of control some of the chaos that's coming out from RRA. Looking to isolate some of these tanks and take advantage, like we were saying, the fact that they haven't played together as effectively here.
A good Mei wall started off by Cabe, was able to split a couple members of Roadhog Rides again off, but not able to really capitalize that until they do get Tree on the Doomfist. So 6v5 right now for Bay State on their defense, and that's a decent start.
Yeah, going to slow things down a little bit here, which I like. That if they can slow things down and really play their game, Bay State's going to be in a good position here.
And now it seems RRA is just trying to decide which way they want to go around the statue, and it's going to go right around the left-hand side, and it's not going to be the right pick. Infernal and Forgotten are already going to get a couple eliminations over that's traded out, and Infernal is trying to finally cement the advantage that Bay State started with.
The spawn advantage is going to be key here, though, as you did see that Pink had gone down and Trees moved over to the Doofus themselves.
And Roadhog Rides again knows exactly that, and they are going to try and press the advantage, push forward. You can see Forgotten getting back into the fray on that Cassidy, but Cucumber and Cyrus are making their presence felt, getting forward. Redemption's able to get one with the pin. Forgotten is going to be a quick victim to that, and that is going to be first point taken for RRA. They are off to a great start.
You can see them pushing the aggression here and really not letting Bay State find their feet again. This is exactly what they need to be doing, is just keeping them on their heels.
Bay State with an interesting amp matrix there a little bit. They are going to claim the life of Pink, however they're really going to respawn right near the fight, so not much. Their nice flash coming out for Forgotten. They're going to finish off Tree, and just like that, I think this actually worked out in the favor of Bay State. Obviously they're getting the picks, but they're going to be able to hold a little bit closer, although it looks like Faded has elected to back up.
Yeah, giving up a lot of free space here, and this initial choke. So, hoping, you know, with no supports, it is pretty difficult to be holding that close. You kind of just get eaten alive, and there, you know, a lot of free push to begin with. So Tree, I think, it switched to that Doomfist initially just to get back to the point quicker. Has stuck with it though.
Big shadow coming out there from Redemption. Not going to get too much done. You can see a Blizzard on, or almost onto the field as well. Cave's at 98%, but Faded's going to get back in with another shadow of their own and get two. Push that forward, and that's the defenders really making their names on that last play. And with that, Bay State might now be able to hold at that choke.
Yeah, this really worked out. They had given up a lot of free space here, but they're going to be able to hold it in a pretty advantageous position for them here. Street phase is great. We're going to see Cape, these main walls coming in real clutch.
Cape sneaking in around the back, and they're going to throw that Blizzard down this time, and it is going to hit the floor, freezing up multiple members of Roadhog Rides again, but they're really going to be able to escape that, even though Neptune goes down late here.
Yeah, unfortunately, not a lot of follow-up available as Bay State just, wow, just absolutely dropping.
Yeah, Bay State back to the drawing board, hoping that they're going to get one more contest here before the payload goes in. But you can see RRA is really pushing forward and doing everything they can to prioritize holding on to the space that they've just earned.
Just Cucumber and Neptune right now bringing the payload up. They're going to get a nice big fight. Both tank ultimates are going to be available. Both DPS ultimates, but we're going to start out with some windows.
A Flux, a couple windows out. Everybody's coming to the party. Fully equipped. Infernal's going to get rid of an Immortality Field, but Tree's going to get rid of McCann. That's a massive pick coming out, getting rid of that Lucio. Tree's on fire, but nice uppercut onto Infernal to get another. Even though Abs is able to get rid of Redemption, that is going to be a drop in the bucket. It's just not going to be enough. That payload's going to hit the second point. Keep trucking forward, and there's still 3:45 left right now for Roadhog Rides again on their attack.
Tree didn't seem to be finding a ton of value with the Doomfist on the second point, but right at the end you could see really coming alive. As soon as the fight is focused around that payload, it gets really dangerous.
Unfortunately, Ageless, while you're singing Tree's praises, they got cut down, so they won't be back into the fight quite yet. And that is going to be a Deadeye coming up from Forgotten, and the rest of RRA is just going to back up here. They're not going to deal with that, and they're going to push forward now with a window of their own coming out from Pink. And an off-angle punch coming in from Tree. Pink's able to finish off Abs. A little bit of a BAP diff there. Forgotten trying to go to the side, stun somebody up, but they have to get back, and it's not going to matter. Tree with a seismic slam is going to delete them. Cyrus throws a dragon on the backline, claims the life of Cave, and this payload's getting very close to the end. It's going to be so hard for somebody from Bay State to get back in and touch. Can they even do it?
That was so close. They couldn't touch.
They could not touch, and that is going to be the end of round one. Roadhog Rides again, putting a nice sparkling time bank onto their side, and with that they're going to have 2:45 remaining, and that's what Bay State needs at the very least if they want to have a decent chance of coming back here in Kings Row.
McCann was really counting on being able to touch there and use the beat to stay alive through it. It was really well played there by Tree, spotting the Lucio out and then kind of disrupting their beat. They almost died on their way down to the floor.
And once again, it's Bay State backs against the wall, but really there's no more room for error at this point. If they aren't able to do something meaningful on their attack, it's going to be curtains for them in the upper bracket.
Yeah, and you know, they needed to win all the, you know, the end of their games, the last like 3 or 4 games they needed to win yesterday. They might just like being in this position. They love the lower bracket. They thrive under pressure. So this might be what they need here to turn things around.
Well, I know I'm hoping for Bay State to have a good showing here on their attack as we're getting ready. And it looks like Roadhog Rides again, it's going to have Tree on the Junkrat, so a lot of damage coming out, a lot of spam damage from the Hanzo Junkrat composition.
Attackers incoming.
Yeah, really hoping to punish any of these kind of like clean rotations that we have seen from Bay State, and try and disrupt the nice synergy that they have. So I like this play. I think it's not even like playing necessarily to the strength. It is just completely focusing the strength that Bay State has. Oh, and there goes Cabe.
Bree is already able to cut the life short of Cabe, and that is going to make it very hard for the attackers now. You can see Tree and Cyrus getting into the kill feed, getting rid of a lot of utility coming out from Bay State, and Bay State's going to have to back up here, go back to square one. That was not the start they wanted.
Yeah, definitely going to need to rethink this, or they're walking into just so much damage here. Cyrus and Tree are just pouring damage. They're not able to take any space without being punished.
And now Roadhog Rise again, just sitting on the right-hand side, backing up a little bit behind the hotel, making sure nobody gets split off by the Maywall, but Tree gets split off by the Cassidy. Forgotten's able to get a pick with the Basekeeper. Cyrus push forwards and trades that back, getting rid of McCann. Forgotten has a Deadeye online, on the point, trying to lock that down. Infernal in the back is able to get rid of Cyrus, so that's a lot of poke damage gone that Bay State does not have to worry about as they try to hold on to this point. You can see Roadhog Rise again throws down a window of their own. Pink making sure that it's going to be tough for Bay State to get in onto the point, and with that, Roadhog Rise again comes in with the re-engage, and it's working. Flux Dragons, it's all coming up aces right now for Roadhog Rise again. They're going to win another fight. They give up a couple ticks to do so, but I think tactically that was the right decision because they're able to hold on to point A and keep whittling time off this time bank.
Got down to just 2 minutes here. They are going to have the tire and shatter here. So these could be some big shutdown ultimates. Forgotten has the data on the other side. McCann with the beats. They're going to need to be moving a little bit faster here. I know Bay State is trying to just control the tempo a little bit. Oh, that was
a big flash coming up from Forgotten there, and now Neptune throws down the sound barrier, but it's not going to matter. Forgotten is going to die. What a pin coming out from Redemption. Infernal trying to get to the back is going to punish Redemption with the micro missiles. Cabe over to the hand zone now is going to pepper a bunch of arrows into Cyrus and get them back to spawn. And you can see the cap percentage ticking up, and it's going to be even more difficult this time around with not a lot of members on the point. But Cucumber's going to try and even this out. They're going to get rid of McCann before Cabe gets rid of Neptune. Both Lucio's down, but the cap is going to go through, and that is going to be forward progress for Faded. And they're going to hit a nice fire strike at the end before they go down to a fire strike from Redemption as well. Just fire strikes everywhere.
And this came down to Cabe really enabling the rest of the team. You could see a couple really big picks towards the end. It looked a little rough. Really nice flash out of Redemption's shatter there, though. I thought that was going to be the turning point. But then just back and forth for like the following 30 seconds as they kind of kept sparring at it. Cabe on the Hanzo now. I like this. It puts them in a pretty good like carry position if they're able to hit these shots, which they have shown they're perfectly capable of.
And now everybody's going to go window shopping as we have both amp matrices on the street. Fire strike coming through from Faded is not going to find anyone. Cyrus and a bit of an off angle here. Not going to get any targets with the Deadeye. Going around back here. What's Cyrus going to do? Hit a couple shots, do a little bit of extra damage from the back, but Faded was able to get another fire strike on a Pink, just sniping with the Reinhardt right now. Somebody's got to deal with Cyrus right now. Somebody look behind you, there's a Cassidy right there. Somebody get rid of him. Cyrus gets rid of Forgotten before he's finally sniffed out by Abs. But a good rotation from Cyrus to sow some just absolute mayhem in the back.
Abs coming up so clutch there. Gets the pick, the lamp comes out, saves Faded from the gravitic flux that had come out from Cucumber. Big plays coming out from the main support, from the flex support.
I'd love to see the great flex support play, and Abs already has another amplification Mazers online and Pink's up to 57% and also dead. So a couple problems there for Pink as Cabe is showing up on the Hanzo. They're able to get two and push back here. A lot of damage coming up from the Hanzo. Deadeye and Dragons, both DPS ults spent for Bay State, and they are spent well. Some good, efficient moves coming up from Bay State in that last fight, and they're going to be able to keep pushing this forward. They have the second point.
I really like this play from them. You can see they're engaging really decisively. They're engaging with ultimates. using things really aggressively, which it seemed like they were very much on their heels for the last couple maps, and not the case now on this attack.
Cyrus gonna open proceedings here. Gonna get 3. Tree gets 2 on the Death Blossom. The DPS ults for Roadhog rides again. Claim 5. That is absolutely filthy.
Oh, just bonkers. Cyrus catches everybody unaware. They've had a couple really nice little like flank plays with that Cassidy's. The amplification matrix has come out here from Abs.
Abs is going to try and use that ult as a counter punch. Redemption gets forgotten with the shatter. And now Tree is into the back, dealing damage, getting 3 more. Tree is all over the place. Somebody has to stop this Reaper. They're an absolutely terrorizing force. And with that, Roadhog rides again. It's going to win another fight. And they are looking fantastic right now.
Bay State already cannot match the time bank that Roadhog rides again has set coming into that 3rd point. You know, Cave is now over onto the Reaper, so they do have some big pieces that they'll be able to put together here in Infernal with the Gravitic Flux from the start. Oh, actually the other side with Cucumber's Flux though.
It's going to be a bunch of fluxes coming out. Pink threw down the window as well. Cucumber hits Infernal with the accretion. That is absolutely clutch. Getting that off tank out of the fight. They are completely irrelevant now. Cucumber just pushing forward with no remorse. Pushing back the members of Bay State. You can see them back hiding, almost cowering in their spawn now. They don't know what to do with all this damage coming at them.
Yes, not as often you see the close hold on the 3rd point, which is what is happening now from Roadhog rides again. Bay State Faded does have this shatter. Oh, okay, yes.
Faded walking forward, so determined as on Shatter Online. They were at least able to block for Forgotten with that Deadeye. Cyrus has once again switched over to the Widow. We can see this usually get a couple sneaky picks for Cyrus when it comes out initially. Another window coming up from Abs. These Baps are building up ultimates extremely quickly. Death Blossom into the backline, plus the sound barrier. Abs is going to decide to kill themselves. They say, you can't kill me, I can kill me. And once again, Roadhog rides again is going to reign supreme. I'm sorry, Faded. You can try to spin to win with a Reinhardt, but it's not going to work. And now Bay State is really at the death. They have one more fight.
Yeah, last fight here in Redemption with the Shatter. This is an uphill battle for them coming into this last fight. They don't have anything left in the tank here. McCann does have the beat. This is all going to come down to this usage.
Sneaking into the backline, and Abs is going to have to use the Immortality Field on themselves. Sound Barrier comes out from McCann as well, as you mentioned, Ageless. That is going to be a big tool in this last fight. Cyrus getting low, gets an Immortality Field used on them as well to keep that Widow into the fight. Infernal has lost their mech. That could be devastating for Bay State. Forgotten's able to get a kill and punish Cyrus for their hubris of switching back to the Widowmaker. Pops in another Deadeye. Nice fade coming out from Tree to deny that, and no! Forgotten couldn't finish off Tree. Tree's gonna get the job done. Overtime burning away. Redemption swinging away, and that is going to do it. Roadhog rides again. Is gonna take it 3-0 and move on in the bracket.
Incredible play. Roadhog rides again, just keeping up that aggression and keeping Bay State on their heels. On the desk, they were talking about this earlier. If they can keep the tempo up, Bay State just cannot seem to get back in it. And once they get caught off guard, they struggle to get that tempo back. We saw some really good glimpses of it as the match went on. Just not able to quite find it again, though.
No, not at all. And that was not the outcome some might have expected. You know, Roadhog rides again. Maybe I definitely wasn't expecting a 3-0. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it seemed like, especially once Bay State had started using their map picks, they were hoping to play their game a little bit. And again, we did see glimpses of that where they were able to come alive, and you could see the talent that's available on this team. They're just not able to consistently utilize those pieces.
And so many, speaking of utilizing pieces, I mean, Roadhog rides again was great. We talked up their tank and their support lines a bunch throughout the match, but on King's Row, it was really the DPS that started shining.
Oh, Tree just absolutely came alive there. That was, frankly, just unbelievable.
It was totally filthy. And I don't even know how to describe my amount of surprise with the result that we just witnessed. So with that, Bay State unfortunately is going to drop down to the lower bracket, and that is going to see Roadhog Rides again move on, and they are up next, or they are going to take on the winner of our next match, which will be G-Force and Sucker Punch.
Yeah, G-Force a little bit more favored, I think, in that matchup. Although, everyone's thinking like Bay State, looking real good yesterday. They're they're probably favored to move on here. So it's been a day of upsets. Maybe we see another one. Maybe we see Sucker Punch really give it to G-Force and continue to move on. This lower bracket is looking just absolutely deadly, though. With Aja, dysfunctional Bay State. This is a scary losers bracket.
There's a lot going on down there. I'm not going to lie. And with that, we are going to be able to see a lot of interesting matches, even one more today, seeing Aja take on Dysfunctional. That's going to be fun for everybody. It's going to be fun for the whole family.
It's fun for all ages. And with that, we should just stop. We're going to just send it to the desk now. I will let you talk to Tickety and Julian.
Yes, and with that, welcome back to Just Tickety and myself. We've been watching that matchup, and not gonna lie, there've been some moments for Bay State, definitely, but in the end, it's a clear result. 3-0 Bay State losing against the Roadhog Rides Again team. Tickety, what was the winning condition for Roadhog Rides Again on this matchup?
Yeah, first of all, like you said, a deceptively close game despite the 3-0 scoreline there. I think more than anything, Bay State might be suffering from a little bit too much structure in their team composition and team play. They looked really, really, really strong when they were able to execute their win conditions. The problem was the sort of chaotic and more individual playmaking potential from Roadhog Rise Again, from Tree's Doomfist, from the aggressive Reaper play, from the angles that they were finding on the Hanzo and the Widowmaker on Havana there. They're just creating situations that Bay State maybe hasn't had enough practice against and didn't quite have the discipline to keep themselves closed off to, and Roadhog Rise Again just able to take momentum off those engagements. I really think this was just a textbook matchup of really strong team play versus really strong individual playmaking from Roadhog Rise Again there to be able to open up these fights. It seemed to me like every fight that Bay State was losing was either because they got caught off guard by a Doomfist rollout or a quick pick from a Hanzo or a Widow, or they just weren't ready for another ultimate that came out in the middle of the team fight. So they just didn't quite have the depth in their team play to really be ready for all those different threats, but they did put out definitely a strong performance there, and I do think they'll be able to bounce back into the losers bracket.
Yeah, absolutely.
So speaking of which, do you want to take a look at the schedule?
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the schedule. And you said totally right. There's been a lot of individual class in the rows of Roadhog Rides Again. So I'm looking forward to seeing them in the winners bracket round 2 next weekend. But next up is G-Force against a Sucker Punch. So G-Force been going through their group, I think even undefeated yesterday. So definitely a strong enemy which Sucker Punch is facing in this next matchup. But themselves, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm quite surprised to see them here. Because what I've seen till in the group stages from them, I wasn't super sure whether they would make it. But against odds, here they are. And they're facing off a super strong enemy in this last matchup in the winner bracket round 1. Let's take a look at the full bracket as we go into next weekend soon.
Yeah, so Sucker Punch coming in a little bit under the radar, it seems, but definitely off a hot win streak as well. They've taken 2 losses in the group stages, one of which being to Trust the Process, seeming to be our dominant team in this tournament. So not too surprising there to take that L. But yeah, definitely coming up off a lot of hot wins as well. G-Force, we did get to see them yesterday. We got to see some big plays from Pummy and Ultimate Wep on the DPS line there, so definitely looking forward to seeing more big plays from them. Another one of these matchups where I don't think it's going to rely too much on really heavy team play or things like that, but a lot of individual focus and individual playmaking, whether that's on the Rhine comp with some more specialization coming in, or looking at the sort of Hammond the Wrecking Ball, Tracer, Sombra kind of compositions where it's all about individual playmaking, all about all these individuals being aggressive all at once and being able to play the map really effectively.
Absolutely, and after we've witnessed GeForce against Sucker Punch, we'll go right into the loser bracket round 1, which is going to be Aya versus Dysfunctional. So Aya, we talked about it before, there was no land for them when they faced up against Trust the Process in their round 1 winner bracket matchup earlier today, and Dysfunctional, They had that momentum against Dice Gaming, but in the end, they ended up losing to them, falling into lower bracket as well. We'll see them facing up right after GeForce versus Sucker Punch. And then Bay State will await the loser of the upcoming matchup. So one of those two, which we'll see now, will have to play again today, which is in terms of mentality and in terms of like what you can take as a player, right? It's a lot, especially with that break in between. You'll have to think about how to keep your level of concentration high enough in order to be able to go back into the second matchup of the day which you're playing without losing too much of that momentum, without losing too much of you being warmed up, basically. And that's going to be super hard for Bay State as well as for the loser of this upcoming matchup.
Keeping in mind, too, these matchups, even though a lot of them are ending 3-0, 3-1 here today, these matchups are lasting almost like an hour and a half up to 2 hours in length. So keep in mind, teams like Aja, who took that early loss against Trust the Process, now just waiting for their chance to bounce back against Dysfunctional in the losers bracket. This is a long day for these players. Being able to take that same focus that they came in with their first match and be able to transfer that all the way throughout the day, stay focused, stay hydrated, stay well-fed, stay awake, in some cases, and be able to bounce back and take a win in the losers bracket is a feat in and of itself. Whether they're able to play to their full potential or not remains to be seen. So we'll hopefully see some good hype matches as the day continues. Teams are able to bounce back at some of these wins, after some of these losses. But looking at our next match, GeForce Sucker Punch, do you have any predictions as to which team's going to take the W here?
I mean, GeForce has been looking super strong in their bracket, in their qualifier group. They've gone 7-0, and they've got some names in the roster. Magic 8 Ball, Pummy, a lot of names which are known to the high Type 3 scene in NA. And this is definitely one of the teams which I am sure we'll see on the highest level, on the last steps in the upcoming Open Divisions this year. It's a team we have to keep an eye on when it comes to contenders, when it comes to higher competition this year, despite from all the collegiate teams, which will, of course, also try and participate in the Path to Pro system, which is going to happen this year, hopefully quite soon. And then Sucker Punch, kind of the underdog in this top 8 here. They only got Void, who's got any previous super strong like T2 experience from last year, but an aspect, for example, of Bandit, known players for the NA scene, but for somebody like me coming from EU, it's not that I'm too familiar with, so I'm looking forward to seeing them on stream here in this next matchup. We'll probably start in about half an hour, so we'll definitely go into a bigger break later, but it's going to be a close matchup, definitely. But I think it really comes down to the skill as a team, because GeForce, they've been together for about half a year now. I think they've got that advantage of playing a team, doing regular scrims, having communication, which is simply on point, and you need that, because in this, although it's double elimination, every match counts, and they don't want to go down to losers bracket and play again later today. Fight
that uphill battle, Like you said too, GeForce going undefeated in their group stage, not just impressive on its own, of course, but according to Gig on Aja they were both in the same group together. So they took a win off of Aja. They took wins off teams like Mind Goblin, like Angels. According to Gig, the self-proclaimed hardest group in the stages here. So to go undefeated in that group is really impressive from GeForce, and definitely looking to see if they can carry that momentum forward today and really close out a quick win and secure themselves a spot in next weekend's games. So definitely hard not to be hyped up on GeForce here. Like we said, undefeated in their bracket, but it'll be up to Sucker Punch to see if they can catch them off guard, come in, take them off balance, and really take control of the match themselves. Lots of talent on both sides. At this point in the tournament, all these teams are chock full of talent. It's really hard to underrate any of these teams, but we'll be seeing what goes on next in our next match. Like you said, there is a little bit of a delay before we are ready to set up our next match, so Sounds like we'll probably be going into a bit of a prolonged break here as we're waiting for the teams to get readied up. Interestingly enough, I think the meta. I was a little bit worried. I mentioned this yesterday, but I was a little bit worried that the meta would be all about the ball comps, the ball, the tracer, the sombra, the zen brig, the plague of NA comp right now in high elo and things like that. It's very much this composition that it tailors well to competitive play, to ranked play, that is. But in a team setting, it's all about individual playmaking. It's all about constant uptime from not just your DPS, but you've got tanks that behave like DPS effectively in the Wrecking Ball. You've got supports that behave like DPS in the Zenyatta. So it's all about just this constant onslaught of pressure. But it's been really interesting to see how teams can take that matchup like we saw earlier today. What was the match I was thinking of? And Dice Gaming versus Dysfunctional. We saw Dice Gaming leaning really heavily into that current meta composition in North America, but Dysfunctional being able to answer back with some potentially unorthodox picks like the Roadhog and things like that, and be able to slowly take control back of the match. So recently, we've been seeing a lot of rush, obviously, with Bay State and Roadhog Rise Again, both opting for the Rhine comps. A lot of that, I think, dependent on the map picks. Both Havana and Kings Row that we saw in the previous match don't really lend themselves well to dive-based compositions. There's just not really enough flank routes and things like that available on the map. But even on maps like Blizzard World, say, where they do have options to play more flexible compositions like that, we're seeing more teams leaning to the slower, more double shield-based approach for forcing space and things like that. So it's definitely been interesting for me I'm sort of myself catching up with the meta. I haven't been involved in a lot of pro level play recently or anything like that. So it's interesting to see the level of diversity that these teams are pulling out. I'm not sure if that's because half these teams were put together a week ago, or it's because this is what the actual meta is starting to look like. But it's definitely been interesting to see the asymmetrical matchups.
Absolutely, and talking about that pressure, it's been here all day yesterday. You've got to think about this tournament is showing who's got the highest durability to stand through this really super hard, super long qualifier, which we witnessed yesterday. 7 full rounds having been played. And then teams like Bay State, they fall here, maybe as well, because they've been up for about 14 hours yesterday only playing Overwatch, because they play in 2 tournaments at the same time, and you just got to give them the respect there, man. So it's really like they showed that they're willing to give everything here. I'm looking forward to seeing them again in the lower bracket later tonight. But for now, yes, I indeed suggest we go into a break until the next matchup is good to go. And it will be Ageless and Newbeat who'll cover that next matchup for you. Until then, let's go into a quick break. See you later.